So now we begin with the concept of processor architecture. As regards to learning of Arduino based systems from engineering perspective, I thought that every student must be completely aware, may it be from electronics, CSE branches or electrical branch, because for them it may be further required, but even for civil and mechanical branches also, some fundamental understanding about how the processor or microcontroller, processor means microprocessor or microcontroller, as I had already stated that we are using the terms interchangeably because the difference between these two is not so wide that we must be keen to have that. So understanding that architecture, how that system works, is most important for us. So just like without understanding microprocessor, without understanding architecture of the heart of the system, that is microprocessor or microcontroller, any kind of working on Arduino would be highly superficial and not at all recommended for an engineering student. Therefore, last time what we have been successful in understanding, that's what my perception is. Even we had to have an interactive sessions which we will organize this week. We could not do it in the last week. So in the interactive sessions I will come to know the extent of your understanding, but I am sure that being students of such a reputed college and having such high merit, you must have understood what I tried to explain in the last session. So in general what we have is, we have a memory chip which size is flexible. You can, just like there is no need of explaining everything. When we are having concept of building a notebook, bring 1 page, 2 page, 3 page, 4 page. So you can have 4-page notebook. Such 4-page notebook, you can have 8-page notebook. Such 2 8-page notebook, you can have 16 pages. So you can, once the concept of preparing a notebook, memory and notebook are same. Why? Because notebook is of say 256 pages, but at a time you can view 1 page that you have to open by using index. So once you have got multiple pages, you know the technique of binding a notebook. You can stack as many pages as you require and prepare any long notebook. Like that, when the technique is known to us of constructing a multiple size memory cell, once we are aware of memory design, memory construction, what we can do is, by using multiple memory cells, we can have a single long size memory cell. We can have a single long size memory cell. Once we define that long size memory cell, we can use it as per our requirement by using number of address lines, number of data lines, then control lines, and one most important line, that is whether I want to use the memory cell or not. Just like students will watch the lecture, but before watching the lecture they decide whether they want to watch my lecture or not. If they don't want to watch my lecture, all the things of knowing the YouTube link, having proper connection of internet and all these things are meaningless if they don't want to watch my lecture. All these things are meaningful if they want to watch my lecture. Like that, each memory chip is having one overriding input. I have already stated that each unit in digital circuit is having power supply and ground, which we are not showing, which we are assuming that it is always there. So it is chip select bar. It is, this chip is used if this is active low. If this chip is not used, if it is high. Then it is having n address lines. Say for simplicity we take 16. It is having 8 data lines. These are bidirectional. It is having one read bar. Bar indicating is active low. It is having one write bar. Both are input lines to memory. So what memory does? Whenever some device which wants to use memory. Some device which wants to use memory. What that device? And that device would be, as I am very much sure that at least few enthusiastic students from your class have tried to go through von Neumann architecture, have tried to surf von Neumann, what is his contribution, and out of curiosity at least they have tried to go through what he has said. So this is a memory chip. This is 64K by 8. What is 64K? 2 raised to 10 is called as 1K. So the size is 2 raised to 16. So 2 raised to 10 is 1K. 16 is 10 plus 6. So it is 2 raised to 10 into 2 raised to 6. 2 raised to 6 is 64, and 1024 or 2 raised to 10 is called as 1K. So it is just a terminology for simpler understanding. 64K is 65,536 memory locations. 65,536 memory locations, 2 raised to 16. This is 64K by 8 memory chip. Then this is memory chip. Memory chip is having address lines, data lines, control lines. This right now we don't bother much, but right now let us say that it is low, so it is active. So now the device which wants to use memory, this is the CPU. Von Neumann what has said? Von Neumann has said that there will be an architecture wherein with the help of address bus, data bus and control bus, this is CPU. So CPU is also having 16 address lines, output lines. So it is A15 to A0. Data lines are bidirectional, D7 to D0. It also has a read bar, also has a write bar. So CPU is having complementary lines, 16 address lines as output, which are input to memory chip. 8 data lines are bidirectional, which are bidirectional for memory chip. Control lines are output lines, control lines as input lines. This is CPU, Central Processing Unit. This is now can be now understanding this CPU was considered to be a very huge task at advanced years of graduation, maybe in third or final year. In India it started coming in the syllabus in 70s, and in early 80s it was there at some engineering colleges, also those are considered to be prime engineering colleges at the third or final year. But now it is so simple. Now because of advancements in VLSI technology, it is possible to design, each one of you can design a CPU the way he or she likes and even simulate the power of computer. That's what I say, that everybody of you should go for a laptop and try to get advanced tools required for your understanding loaded on it, so that especially in this pandemic situation, you and your laptop is your world. It is just like me and mom in early days of childhood. For a baby, me and mom, so that is the entire world. Like that, situation today is that in a pandemic situation where you are unable to come to actual college for various reasons, you and your laptop should be your entire day in which you should be able to understand everything. So you can design the CPU, which we are going to design. And then means we are going to design means what kind of things CPU should have. That we will try it now. Since the advancement is so huge, but technical advancement despite is very huge, every generation is new. So for new generation that is new, then when there are two ways. There are few who will think on what brand new should be for the entire mankind. All can't be of that type. Means if suppose that everybody can't be Einstein, but in relevant stage. But whatever is new to you, even though it is not new for the world, if you are able to invent it on your own, you are as good as Einstein. So just like I would give an example, Edison and Swan have invented incandescent lamp. Was it at the same time? No, it was at different times. Some time lag. So when second was developed, first was already available. Only thing is that the second inventor was not knowing that it exists. So when second inventor doesn't know that it exists, in that case, it is as good as invention and both got the credit. Similarly now, what we want, it is not that CPUs are not there in the world. CPUs are there. Arduino board you get for 500 rupees including all, so it includes everything. So that CPU is not the issue now. But you should be able to develop CPU. How CPU should be designed, what CPU should consist of, and then that can be manufactured easily. That is a very simple process now, not very difficult. So if you are able to think on it in the von Neumann's architecture point of view, then your contribution will also match to that of von Neumann, at least to a small extent. So now today we are in the time frame of artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence is a much further step ahead in computer-based systems. But to understand that, we must understand computer-based systems, of which Arduino is one of them. When I say computer-based systems, computer-based means computer. But what is computer? What is heart of the computer? Is not that big CPU box and all that. Heart of the computer, whenever it is said it is computerized, computer-based, it is essentially containing a CPU, a microprocessor or a microcontroller chip. Means nowadays something without a microcontroller is hard to imagine. In 70s and 80s, since microcontroller was costlier, there was alternative technique of doing some, at least in engineering colleges, there was some kind of assignments, some kind of tasks where something, say temperature controller, is to be designed without using microcontroller. So it was somewhat cheaper. But now microcontroller is so cheap that there is no point in designing something without using that. So almost everything is now computer or microcontroller based. When almost everything now is computer microcontroller based, it is for us now to understand how CPU is. So for those, even though few of you might have gone through add to 11 and 12, especially if it is computer, that to a large extent, if it is electronics to a small extent, something structure like CPU, some kind of microprocessor, microcontroller you might have studied like that. But that is very much superficial. Therefore, it also gives them an opportunity to think afresh and design CPU. So what we are doing today is we are designing CPU. Means once we are able to design CPU, I think this is a great achievement in you. This would be a great value addition in you. The value addition can be experienced if you are able to store what is your present state, and if you are able to realize that your state after understanding some kind of technique, just like a person who is not knowing to ride the bicycle, his state of mind, and he somehow learns after what we can say some kind of efforts, learns to ride a bicycle, then the value addition in him is enormous. With a situation where bicycle, he cannot ride a bicycle, and a situation when he is able to ride the bicycle, that is perceivable value addition. Like that, to be able to, or just like a person who is not knowing English and he knows English, that is also value addition. Like that, a person who is not knowing what CPU is and a person knowing what CPU is a value addition, because CPU is something, just like earlier there was a concept of literacy, literate, illiterate. Now there is a concept of digital literate and digital illiterate. Like that, now in engineers a terminology will come CPU literate, CPU illiterate. Means CPU literate means it's not that everybody will be able to use computer, but that is not. CPU literate means knowing what CPU is, and CPU illiterate means not knowing what CPU is. Like that, there will be AI literate, AI illiterate, like that. So knowing CPU. So what is our task in today's session is to know CPU. How CPU works. So now what is CPU? CPU is a chip which is having 16 address lines, 8 data lines, 2 control lines, and obviously supply and ground, which we don't show. So we assume that it's everywhere. So we say that a CPU is having a 26-pin device excluding supply lines, address data control. Now, what CPU should do? What is the crux of CPU? Once it should be very clear that CPU is not like some either a bacteria or a virus. It is not neither a bacteria nor a virus. Why I am using the word specifically? Because virus is said to be on the boundary line of lively and non-lively entities. So CPU is not a virus. CPU is completely non-living entity. CPU ही एक निर्जीव entity आहे. ही एक निर्जीव chip आहे. Being non-lively, there will not be a concept. If a question is asked, what is the difference between lively and non-lively? There may be many differences, but from our point of view, from behavioral point of view, consistency in behavior which does not depend on some external considerations like mood, etc., is an inherent feature of non-lively entity. So CPU has to behave in a structured and fixed manner. Then you will ask a question, what is the difference between a huge digital circuit which consists of counters, gates, flip-flops, etc., and CPU? CPU is a very huge structure, no doubt, of these entities only, but it is arranged in such a manner where the manner of behavior of CPU as such is considered is fixed, but it can be varied by forcing it. It can be varied by forcing it to behave in such a manner as you desire with the help of instructions. So again I repeat, it's a very fundamental discussion. CPU also operates on some inputs which that is its user is going to give. CPU operates on inputs which user is supposed to give, and the manner in which user changes the inputs which are given to CPU, it is possible that you can have different way with which the system acts. So if such multiple units are prepared, CPU memory, then depending upon what you put in the memory, how the system will function will depend. Now I will add few things in this. The memory chip, what we discussed, is read-write. Means CPU can read any location, CPU can write into anything into any location. If power supply is not there, the data would be evaporated. Data will not be stored. Now in digital thing, there is nothing like other than 1 and 0 when you read. when you write, when an output pin of a digital circuit can be in 1, 0 or tri-state. Tri-state means hanging. Once it is hanging, some other output can be connected to it and it can make it 1 or 0. But when some device reads digital input, it treats it either 1 or 0. If it is not fixed, it may treat it anyway depending upon how it is connected at other parts, just like pull up or pull down using resistor, but right now that is not important. So what is important is that in digital, whenever I read something, I always read 1 and 0. So suppose if in the memory something is written at some memory location and power supply goes. If power supply comes, the thing written at that memory location is lost. But there is no question of blank in digital thing. If you try to read that location, some random value may come. That may be all zeros, that may be all ones, or anything random. Before, it depends upon at the time of power on, it may have random state. So what is important, which you must carry with you always, is in digital thing, there is no concept of blank. You will get some random data. That's one thing. Then, in this memory chip, you can have some sections. Some section can be pre-written and it can be a non-writable part. That is the microprocessor or CPU can't write into it. It is called a read-only. And it can be pre-written while manufacturing, and that pre-written is not depending upon power supply. Even if power supply goes, that pre-written things will remain. That pre-written things will remain. That is called as ROM, read-only memory. That is called as read-only memory. So, at some locations there can be some fixed contents. At other locations you can write, you can read. Remember that I am trying to compress all these sessions of CPU architecture, which may be half course, into few lectures. Therefore, few of you may find it difficult at once to understand, but in our interactive sessions it will be clarified. Therefore, don't be panic and ask me on WhatsApp, so sir, we are unable to understand, it is too heavy. It will be heavy because I am trying to compress, because it is required for you. Okay, so there are some locations where something fixed can be there, it can be written separately, it can be prepared while manufacturing the chip, and it will be as it is even if power supply goes. So some locations of memory will contain fixed data, just like you are having a notebook. In the notebook there can be semi-printed notebook. Something can be fixed and something can be the scratch pad. Means you can write it with a pencil, you can rub it out. Where something is written, printed already, or something you can write with a pen. Once you write it with a pen, it will remain as it is. And there can be scratch pad like, means you can write something and when you just lift it up, it goes. So something which is permanently stored, something which can be used for temporary storage, it goes, it can be further stored like that. So there can be various locations in that way. So in general, this is not be a single chip. You can have an assume it to be multiple chips combined together. So with the help of 16 address lines, you can select the location. With the help of 8 data lines, you can access the data. If you want to write, you will put the address where to write, you will put what to write, and you will put activate write bar. When you want to read, you will put the address, you will activate read bar, maybe you will put that what is stored here on the lines that you will have, you will be available to you. So if you want to write something, you know where to write, you open the page and you know what to write, you start writing. Whereas when you want to read, you know from where to read, you open that page and whatever is there is available to you, so you read it. So in reading process, the reader has to give the location, the contents are there, in the device. In writing, writer has to decide where to write and writer has to supply contents what to write. So reading and writing process are complementary. As regards to address lines, address is selected by the device which wants to read or write. It activates either read bar or write bar. If it is reading, the data is available, it is read. If it is writing, data is to be supplied by the writer and that gets stored. Okay, so now what kind of structure that CPU should have now? So now this, I will have a big structure, a CPU, and it is, as I have already stated, that once you are able to understand this CPU structure, I think you will find yourselves to be in an elevated state. You will find that you are now person knowing CPU. So central processing unit, it's a microprocessor chip. Von Neumann has predicted it in 1940s, which we are trying to realize today after around, what we can say, 70 plus years. After around this, it may be around 75th year of von Neumann architecture. Okay. So inside what now? Inside, when it is said that if few of you may be poets, maybe writers in literature, so what is expected is that they should get a very relaxed mood. Therefore they go at some tourist place, reside in a hotel, so that they keep themselves in a comfort state where they expect that the high level of intellect will reflect in some kind of thinking and they will be able to write something. They do, when a poet or a writer writes something, they don't ask silly questions which a normal person asks. Whatever I am writing, whether it is realizable. If you start in that way, only realizability, feasibility, if you start thinking, then you will not be able to have such great construction. Like that, you should have a poetic mind in designing CPU. So, whatever devices, gates, flip-flops, counters, etc. you want, you assume that these are available to you. Don't limit your thinking by question from where I would be getting it. So don't think that. Then there is a biological clock. Just like you can say heartbeat is a biological clock. Like that, for CPU, these are the 8 address pins, 16 address lines, 8 data lines, read bar, write bar. Similarly, for CPU there is a power supply and also there is a clock. For CPU there is a clock, or nowadays CPUs have that clock circuit. Earlier there was external clocks might have been needed, but now we can have it and a clock. That clock will give the pulses at, say, let us 1 unit, that may be in milliseconds, let us say it is now in microseconds, let us say 1 millisecond. The clock is considered from one falling edge to another falling edge, in which 1 millisecond clock is there. 1 millisecond clock is there. So that clock is required to start the activities. Just like we are having heart pulses, heart pulse is equal to a clock. So 1 clock cycle, and in 3 such clock cycles, CPU completes one process, 1 memory access. So that is called as, you may be aware, those who have studied microprocessor, they may be knowing it as a machine cycle, but that is not so required. So we can say 1 access cycle. So now CPU has to start. CPU has to start. How it will start? So for that it is having one pin for a reset. Start from beginning. This is clock. This is reset, very important pin, and as a clock. So suppose if you are joined some kind of military training like activity. Suppose if you are joined some military training kind of activity and you have not yet become accustomed to that. Just start complaining on some nonsense things. Then in order to bring you to a new normal, new beginning condition, nowadays such practice may not be used, but in previous century such practices were there. Nowadays also those may exist in China. So your trainer slaps you, very harsh slap, a very big punch. Your trainer slaps you, gives you a big punch, so that you come out of all things and you start thinking afresh. There is a reset. There is a reset. So once the system is reset, it is reset, and now after reset is done, so reset is the active input pin. So when you put reset, it is not doing anything, and when reset is removed, when to make it start from beginning, reset is made 1, and when reset is made 0, system starts functioning on basis of the clock. So clock sequences activities of CPU, reset initializes CPU from the beginning. Okay, now what is CPU? It is a device which is having some kind of computational abilities. Some kind of computational abilities. Computational abilities, you means now then you will ask me a big question. Will I teach everything? That I can't do, because I can do that, but that will complete a semester in this simple understanding. So I will make you to assume few things. Then you will say, why sir, then you are telling we would have assumed Arduino itself and just worked on the computer. Today after the lecture I will also putting you the links, YouTube links for Arduino practicals. That is very easy. Any high school student also is able to use that, because just like what we can say, a child is also able to use his hand, but only a orthopedic surgeon will know what is its internal structure. So any student can use it, but what we are doing, it is just like the study made by a surgeon. So we will go through the details. So what units the CPU will have? So for that purpose I will tell you the possible units. There is a CPU, inside CPU there will be memory locations. Inside CPU there will be memory locations. We will be having either 8 bits or 16 bits memory locations. CPU will contain 8-bit or 16-bit few internal memory locations. Those are called as registers, which I told in the last lecture. And there will be a unit called as arithmetic logic unit, which will ALU. So it is just like Arduino as to CPU is equivalent to CPU as to ALU. So Arduino board includes CPU chip. CPU chip includes one arithmetic logic unit. Its details, how exact construction is there using flip-flops and gates, adders, subtractors. Right now, time doesn't permit us, but for those who, if they are really interested, we can have some additional sessions at a later time. But right now, time doesn't permit us. So what CPU, what ALU is? ALU is having, means this ALU, it is just like, I will give you a simple example, that it is just like a flour mill is there in your vicinity. If you want to have wheat and you want to grind it, so what you do, you get your wheat in some kind of enclosure, in some kind of bag. You go to that place, put that wheat in the flour mill and come out with wheat flour. So for a flour mill, wheat bag is input, flour bag is output. So those who want to use it, come with wheat, go with flour. So just like ALU. So for ALU, data must be supplied, some process data is available. So for ALU, normally it can carry out various processes. What are the processes in general? Only processes is addition. It is more than enough. Addition. Subtraction even is not required because that is done by using complement. 2's complement addition is subtraction, that you might be knowing. Those who are not knowing can study it later. So addition, which includes subtraction, or you can have it separate, not, and complement. Addition, subtraction, complement, and increase, decrease, or that is called increment and decrement. Multiplication operation is not possible so easily. Multiplication operation is very complex operation, even to be carried out in digital system, and multiplication operation is carried out in digital system by fast addition techniques using shift and add. It is not so easy operation. So addition, subtraction, complement, increment, decrement, these are various operations which can be possible to be done by ALU. So for this ALU, data is there in some internal registers of CPU that will be supplied to ALU, and the result of the ALU would be put into some other registers. So in general, what will be there inside CPU? Oh, I should not have rubbed it out, but I rubbed it out because we need to have something else here. So inside CPU, there will be ALU somewhere. ALU somewhere. And there will be a register bank, internal registers. There will be internal registers. Now, I will be explaining you with an example. I will be explaining you with an example, and the example which I am taking will resemble with 8085, which has ruled few generations in digital things. So just like naming and all that, in fact, you are supposed to think on it. So what is there inside CPU? Few internal memory locations which we call them as registers, and we call them by some names. Every one of you has got a name. Why that name particularly? Because your parents thought so. Just like we will be naming few internal memory locations of CPU with some fixed names, and I am giving names like 8085. Register B, register C, register D, register E, register H, register L, and register A or accumulator. Register A or accumulator, these names are given. Now, I would be finishing this discussion, and then I would be also having some optional sessions in which some detailed description of this programming will be given to you out of interest. That optional session, those who want to watch can watch, Those who don't want to watch, they don't watch. It will not be part of your evaluation. But in order to complete the understanding, there will be some optional sessions which you can see in extra time. I will put them separately on the YouTube channel. So this is whatever right now going on is going on as a part of essential part. It is required to be understood. So and what this is, I will explain separately. So internally, CPU contains various memory locations called as registers. One kind of arithmetic logic unit, such that the data in these different registers can be used for some operations. So for example, what can be now everything what we are going to design, we will collectively design how CPU should be there, what should be design of CPU. So I am telling you possible operations which can happen inside CPU using what can happen? There is ALU, there are internal memory locations, for simplicity called as registers, and instead of the address they are given some names for easy understanding and handling. Now what are different operations possible? Now in this A is called an accumulator. It is having some special thing. So in operation there is a concept of operand on which operation takes place. So for addition, what would be there? Two operands. For addition, there will be two operands and as source and one operand as a result or destination. For incrementing or decrementing, the same operand is source, same operand is destination. Incrementing or decrementing, same operand is source, same operand is destination. For inverting, that is complementing, same operand is source, same operand is destination. So what we are having is various operations which are permissible. This accumulator having some special thing, means in multi-operand operations it is one of the operands. Say for example, the operation is add B. Operation is add B. I am specific now. Instead of this using black pen, I am using blue pen. So add B. So add B is one operation which CPU can be designed to perform internally using various digital circuitry parts. You can design CPU to perform this operation add B. What add B is? In add B, one operand is B, other operand by default is A, and destination is A. So after add B instruction, the accumulator will be changed to old accumulator plus B. Now accumulator is 8-bit, B is also 8-bit. Then addition of two 8-bit numbers. Suppose if you add 99 plus 99, what is the answer? Will it be occupied in 2 digits? No. You will need one more called as carry. Therefore, just like these 8-bit memory locations, there are some 1-bit memory locations inside this space which is reserved. So this is called as carry flag. Carry. So it is not accumulator plus this, but it is carry plus accumulator is equal to. So addition of 8 bits of A are taken, 8 bits of B are taken, they are added, and addition is reflected in accumulator and carry flag also becomes 1 or 0 so as to reflect the status of addition. So this add. Right now, in this introductory session, I will not be going into details. There would be a separate session for you, which you may or may not go through. So add B is a process. Similarly, the process can be INRC. What is INRC? Increment register C. Increment register C. So increment register C, what it will do? It will increase the digital 8-bit value in register C by 1. It will increase the 8-bit value in register C by 1. There can be another process, decrement D. Reduce the 8-bit value in register D by 1. And there is one more, which complement accumulator, means make bits of accumulator, what was 1 make it 0, what is 0 make it 1, complement accumulator. Like that, like add, I will also say sub C. What is sub C? Subtract. Accumulator is accumulator minus C. Accumulator will become accumulator minus C. Accumulator becomes accumulator minus C. Right now we don't go into details of 2's complement and all that arithmetic. So what I wanted to tell is that what is possible inside CPU using digital hardware. Temporary storage is there inside CPU, that is internal memory of CPU, which is called as registers A, B, C, D, E, H, L, and various operations can be performed. Various operations can be performed. Now, how and why, or why and how CPU will be performing these operations. So each operation which is to be performed by CPU means CPU is just like an ideal slave. CPU is just like an ideal slave. Slavery is something which we should highly discourage as regards to slave being a human entity is concerned. Now then you will say, if you are very much compassionate, then you should also discourage slavery when slave is a non-human living entity is concerned. We use donkeys as slaves. Whether that should be permitted or restricted is a highly debatable issue as regards to what you can say new global thinking practices. But there is no harm in using non-lively entities like CPU to be your slave. If that is not also permitted, then you will be deprived of all advanced technological assistance available to you. So that is not, don't get diverted into discussion, I explained in the flow. So that CPU is your slave, it is you. So a slave is having some skill set, or let us make a polished word for slave, servant, master servant. So servant is having some skill set. What servant can do? Say in biodata you can say, I can type, I can have steno shorthand. When nowadays I can Google, means anybody can Google, but I can Google in a smart way like this. So various skill set, various activities which the servant is expert in are written on the resume biodata, so that master can order those activities to slave or to servant. Like this, what operations CPU can perform are to be dictated to CPU by its user. So remember, language. Now the big challenge in AI is language. Linguistic study, there are so many languages, so huge literature, so much scientific base in that. How the language might have got developed, will it be possible to define a new language? Then now it is said that in India, Sanskrit and Tamil are said to be very old languages. So when after few years new languages come, so there was an era when some other language was not there, then a new language has developed. Now whether the question is there a linguistic saturation, or somebody will come up with new language? Say WhatsApp grammar is something new. So texting, which you do, the new terminologies where you use numerals. For T, instead of 2 you use the number 2. So that can be a new invention. Suppose if you design to have a new language, just think what enormous words, phrases and all that you need to think on it. And so that is a challenging. Like that, so when you are having a human being as servant, you are able to tell in some language. But suppose you want to get some activity done with the help of your dog, then you can instruct your dog if that appropriate protocol is established between you and the dog by some sign. When you say like this, go there, right? You can tell the dog may sleep. So like this, there should be established convention between the instructor and the servant as regards to what is to be done. So like that, if you are the instructor and CPU is the servant, so there is a concept of, it's a new and most important thing in any CPU, that is opcode or assembly language. That is opcode. Various operations are to be encoded. Various operations are to be encoded with the help of opcode, and we restrict ourselves into 256 operations. So an 8-bit number, 8-bit opcode is enough for us.